If you're a tea-loving fanatic like me, you could check your shelf and find dozens of different brands. But what happens when you pull the ones from the back of your cabinet and find out that they are expired? Tea bags can be kept up to 2 years beyond the date that they expire. It's best to keep these bags in airtight sealed containers and placed in a cool, dry, or refrigerated environment. As time continues, the tea leaves will begin to dry even further and lose their potent flavor. As long as they are not open and exposed to the air, they can last way beyond the printed expiration date. Now, you're probably asking a bunch of other questions as well. In this article, I'm going to go over virtually everything you need to consider and every scenario that I can think of when it comes to your expired tea bags. Let's begin. Everything expires, especially consumables. The general understanding is that when food, tea is a type of food, expires, it will eventually spoil, rot, decompose, crumble, or even become rancid. Depending on how well it is preserved, most foods will spoil. Funny facts here: if you were to remove the tea leaves from the bag and leave it out, it would take a little over a year for the tea leaf to completely decompose, virtually disappearing into dust. How can you tell if tea goes bad? Here, I'm going to list 4 clear signs that your tea has gone bad. I figured this out myself when I was sticking through the back of my cabinets. I had found tea bags that were upwards of 5 years old. The ultimate result of these 5-year-old tea leaves is that they no longer contain their flavor. It's not as potent as you would experience if you had bought a fresh batch of tea ingredients. Your tea bag has a pungent smell if you place the bag close to your nose and take a good whiff of it, and has a pungent smell, then you've got your answer. This is one of the first and easiest signs to confirm whether or not your tea bags have gone bad. Now, I know that not everyone has a bloodhound nose, but here's an alternative for you. If you're not sure about the smell, then I would suggest for you look around your cabinet for some tea bags that are not yet expired to compare. And if that doesn't work for you, then I would suggest you find a friend or someone in the house to check for you. You can even attempt to give your pet a sample of the smell and monitor how it reacts. Normally, tea bags should smell somewhat like the tea they produce, just more potent. You find mold and mildew in your tea, this method is going to be way easier than the smell method. However, you've got to be vigilant and detail-focused. Mold can grow on anything, whether it is food or even rocks. Start by looking around the corner of the tea bag. Sometimes the mold may grow in those areas where the tea is most congregated. Sometimes the humidity in the air may also help mold growth to progress. If you have a bunch of loose leaf in a jar, it's probably going to be easier to identify mold. If you're having trouble identifying if there is a mold infestation, I would recommend that you take a small pinch of tea leaves out of your jar or your tea bag and spread them across a white cloth on the table. You can even use a paper towel. This will help enhance the colors coming from the tea leaves. Mold comes in a variety of different colors. Check to see any gradients that are different or spots on the leaves that pop out to you. Look for slightly yellow, light green spots. Mold also comes in furry white cotton-like textures. The smell and the flavor are gone from your tea, so there are no rancid smells from the tea bags or the tea leaves, and you can't identify any mold that's easy to see. At this point, it is probably going to be okay to brew your tea. But the test doesn't stop there. Once you brew your tea, you're going to have to check the taste and smell. If your tea is wildly expired, and I mean it's been several years, then there is a likely chance that it will have lost all its aroma and flavor. Really old brewed tea may have a very dull and watery taste to it. There are several things and reasons why this can occur. Take for example, if you had loose tea in a glass jar and you left it in front of the window for years, the sun would probably have degraded it by then. This would remove the smell and scent. What's more common than a glass jar exposed to the sun, is if the tea leaves were left out to the open air. The scent and smell from the tea leaves would eventually dissipate into the air over time. And if years go by, then there is a likely chance that your tea will no longer contain its potent flavors. An opened container of tea is over 3 years past the expiration date. Remember, when you first purchase a jar of tea leaves or a box of tea bags, those packages are sealed within either plastic or airtight jars. The packaging is a very conscious attempt at concealing the flavors and quite possibly making the product last for as long as possible. Once someone buys it and takes it home, and opens it, the degradation and decomposition process begins. This is probably going to be less so for the individual tea bags that are produced today. Most likely these tea bags will be airtight, not allowing any air to come in or out. If you're looking at your jar of tea leaves or your box full of tea bags, and you notice that the expiration date was about 3 years ago and also you've already opened the jar or package that the bags came in, then it's probably time to throw it away. You can try all the methods above, but ultimately, you'll probably only be able to look forward to flavorless hot water. Tea is relatively cheap, by the way, so there are no worries about wasting money. There's so much more we want to tell you about this. If you like to learn more, visit our site by searching for Family Guide Central. Do tea leaves really expire? Or you can click on the link in the description below. We love providing helpful videos, so subscribe, like, and hit the bell icon. Thanks for watching. As always, in this video, the topics discussed, and ideas presented are opinions and presented for entertainment purposes only. The information presented should not be construed as professional health, financial or legal advice. Always do your own due diligence.